Hello everyone, welcome to Science Brains. So today we have to start our new chapter, chapter 5, separation of substances. There are two types of substances, pure substances and impure substances. Now see what is substances and what is impure substance and what is pure substance. Substances. A substance is simply a pure form of matter. A substance is matter that contains only one type of atom or molecule. It contains only one type of atom or molecule and it is simply a pure form of matter. Now we will see types of substances. There are two types of substances, pure substances and impure substances. First of all, we will see what is pure substances. Substances that are made up of only one kind of particles and has a fixed or constant structure. It is made up of one kind of particles and it cannot change its structure. It has a fixed or constant structure. Now here some examples of pure substances is given. For example, gold metal, copper wire, sugar, salt, hydrogen gas and diamond. These are some examples of pure substances. Now second is impure substances. Substances that are made up of two or more pure substances mixed together. It is a mixture. Impure substance is a mixture of two or more pure substances. Here some examples are given of it is a mixture. It is a mixture of almonds and many other things is given. So it is a mixture, that's why it is called, it is an example of impure substances. Now here one question is given, why do we separate substances? This question may be put in your mind also, that why do we need to separate substances? Among different components of mixture, there are many substances which are harmful or not useful for us. Now there are many substances which we don't want to use. They are not useful for us and they are harmful also. So to remove these harmful or non-useful components, we need to separate it. Now this table is given in your NCERT book also. In this column, separation process is given, and in this column, purpose for which we do the separation is given, and in this column, what do we do with the separated components is given. So we have to match it. Number one is separate stones from rice. So which one is correct for this? To separate two different but useful components, we remove stone from rice, but stone is not useful component, so it is not a useful. So first block is not correct for it. Now second B we see to remove non-useful components. Yes, this is correct for it because we need to separate non-useful components from useful components. That's why, because stone is non-useful component, so we have to remove it. So second B is correct for first. Now we will see second. Churning milk to obtain butter. For now see, churning milk to obtain butter. To separate two different but useful components. Churning milk, yes, it is a useful component, and butter is also a useful component. So for second, A is correct. So we will match it. Separate tea leaves. Now see, to remove impurities or harmful components, because we have to remove tea leaves from tea, so that's why it is impurities. It is called impure substance. So that's why to remove impurities or harmful components is correct for this. Now we'll see what do we do with the separated components. Now first is separation of stones from rice. Now see, we separate stones from rice, but what we do from stones? So for this, which option is correct? We throw away the solid components or we throw away the impurities? We use both the components. No, we cannot use both the components because stone is non-useful components, as we see in column second. So for this, first is perfect. We throw away the solid components because stone is solid and stone is harmful component, so that's why we remove it and we throw it. We throw away the impurities. Yes, we will throw the impurities from separate tea leaves. If we have to separate tea leaves, then we throw away impurities. And third is we use both the components. So we use, yes, we can use churning milk also, we can use because it is also useful component, and butter is also a useful component. So for second, third is correct. Now we will see methods of separation. Number 1, threshing. Number 2, hand picking. And number 3, winnowing. 4th is sieving. And 5th is sedimentation. 6th is decantation. 7th is filtration. 8th is evaporation. And 9th is condensation. So now we will study about these methods in this chapter. Number 1, hand picking. The process used to separate slightly larger particles from a mixture by hand is called hand picking. Now see what is hand picking. It is a process to separate slightly larger particles from hand. For example, if we separate stones from rice, so we can separate it by hand picking process. We can separate it by hand. So this whole process is called hand picking. Now we will see here are some examples are given. For example, rice, wheat, pulses, etc. contain impurities such as small stones or unwanted grains. For example, in rice, small stones are there, so we have to remove it. So we can remove it from the process of hand picking. And from wheat and pulses also, unwanted grains, we have to remove it. The quantity of such impurities is usually not very large. In such situations, we find that hand picking is a convenient method of separating substances. Now, the quantity of such impurities is usually not very large. Now see, if we have to separate stones from rice, then the quantity of rice should be smaller, not very larger, because if the quantity is larger, then it is too difficult for us to separate it. So if the quantity is small, then we can use this process, hand picking by hand. But in such situations, if hand picking is a convenient method of separating substances, so in this situation we can use the process of hand picking. It is a convenient method. Convenient method means it is a perfect method of separating substances. Now see these two pictures. In these two pictures, what these two persons are doing? These two persons are separating substance by the process of hand picking. Now we will see threshing, the process in which stems of wheat or paddy are beaten to separate grains from the stems and from the shaft that cover the grains. Now in this process we separate grains or wheat or paddy from stems. From stems of a plant we separate wheat or paddy. So this process is called threshing, to separate grains from the stems and from the shaft that covers the grains. For example, the separation of seeds from the harvested stalks. Threshing is used to separate seeds from the harvested stalk. After the process of harvesting, we have to separate seeds from harvested stalks. So threshing is used to separate seeds from the harvested stalks. This process is done by drying stalks in sun before the grain is separated from them. Sometimes threshing is done with the help of bullocks. Machines are also used to separate large quantities of grains. So in this process, first of all, we have to dry it. We have to dry the stalks in sun before the grain is separated from the stem. So sometimes threshing is done with the help of bullocks, and sometimes machines are also used to thresh large quantities of grains. If there is a large quantities of grains, so in such situations machines are also used to thresh. Now see, this is a machine. Machine looks like this. This is a machine by which threshing process is done, and by this process also done. So okay, so these are the pictures. Winnowing. This process of separating heavier and lighter components of a mixture by wind or by blowing air is called winnowing. This method is used by farmers to separate lighter husk particles from heavier seeds of grains. Now see, this is a process of separating heavier and lighter components. Okay, in this process we separate heavier substance, heavier components and lighter components. And how we will do it? It is done by wind or by blowing air. It is done. So this process is called winnowing. This method is also used by farmers to separate husk particles from heavier seed grains. This process is done by farmers. When a farmer threshes wheat crops in his field, he gets a mixture of wheat grains and husk. Before wheat grain can be used, husk has to be removed from them. The husk is separated from wheat grains by method of separating. So a farmer threshes wheat crop after harvesting, after the process of harvesting, farmer gets a mixture of wheat grains and husk. So he have to separate wheat and grains and husk particles. Before wheat grains can be used, because wheat grains including husk, it cannot be used. So first of all, farmers removed husk particles from them, then it can be used. The husk is separated from wheat grains by method of winnowing. So this is done by the method of winnowing. The husk particles are carried away by the wind. The seeds of grains get separated and form a heap near the platform for winnowing. The separated husk is used for many purposes, such as a fodder for cattle. So the husk particles are carried away by the wind. So it is done by a blowing air also, and it is done by a wind also. The seeds of grains get separated from a heap, the platform. First of all, farmers have to prepare a platform for it. On that platform, they separate husk particles from grains or from wheat. Okay. So the separated husk is used for many purposes, such as fodder for cattle. Now see, this is a machine. This is a machine which used for this process, winnowing. Sieving. The process by which fine particles are separated from bigger particles by using a sieve. In this process, fine particles are separated from bigger particles, and it is done with the help of sieve. The sieving removes pieces of stones, stalk and husk that may still remain with wheat after threshing and winnowing. So after the process of threshing and winnowing, some husk particles still remain with wheat. So to remove them, we use this process, sieving, which is done with the help of sieve. It is used in flour mill or at construction sites. In flour mill, impurities like husk and stones are removed from wheat pebbles, and stones are removed from sand by using sieve and by the process of sieving. So if we have to remove husk and stone from the wheat, then we can use sieve. and this process is called sieving, and pebbles and stones are also removed from sand by sieving. Now see, this is a picture of sieving. So this is a part 1 of this chapter, and in next video we will cover remaining chapter. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.